Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an edition of Regan's Corner Sports Podcast Network. This is a special one because it's one that I don't think you guys have seen. The interview of our very own CEO, Josh Regan. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I mean, it feels good to be co-CEO of something. It always feels good like that, and building Regan's Corner into something that everyone around the community loves and everyone around the country loves because we have been hauling on Division One athletes. You have parents thanking you about giving their story out to their kids, and it's for sure.
Absolutely, and that's why we're interviewing you here today to hear a little bit about your backstory, specifically how you've been a leader for Regan's Corner Sports Podcast Network, how you brought it up, and we're ready to dive into that. And with that being said, Josh, the first question I got for you is just how do you define or view leadership as being co-CEO of Regan's Corner Sports Podcast Network?
I feel like there's not many CEOs anymore that once they start a project, they go into it a little bit more and more and more. I just love all the aspects of Regan's Corner. I love the graphic design part of it. I love the talking to you guys, the employee part of it. I love looking and finding new interns to kind of give off the knowledge here. Purdue, Ball State, call me. But anyway, I just find pure leadership of something like you're just doing. You're just going out there, you're grinding, you're hustling for something that you love, for something that you think could make it. Uh, and I think Regan's Corner could make it someday. So I'm hustling with calling businesses. I'm hustling with this and giving you guys a foundation of here's the podcast, here's this, here's that, and kind of going about it that way.
Absolutely. So you're kind of blending into the next question. Give us a little bit like what role does leadership play in your daily life running RCSPN?
Okay, so what it is just kind of going through everything, making sure the podcast that we have is ordered, because in the past it really hasn't been. It's been all over the place. It's been great content, but trying to order everything. So the audience at home, when we got our second chance with the YouTube channels and stuff like that, to kind of get better into the kind of swing of things, better organization, better with keeping it 100 and stuff like that. Our leading podcast, our original podcast, trying to give you guys merchandise to sell, trying to give you guys ideas how to sell merchandise, how to kind of go into everything. And my daily grind is just giving you guys who work for Regan's Corner a chance to sell stuff off the merch shop, try to broadcast live games, and trying to call other schools so we add more and gain more popularity through something like that, and just kind of trying to expand. If you don't expand in our game, you die.
Absolutely. And I don't think you get enough credit for all you do for RCSPN. You really are the man behind everything. You're creating the website, you're creating the graphics, you're on all the podcasts, you're finding these athletes, you're reaching out to sponsors for sponsorship deals. You're the man doing everything. And like you said, you are hustling. And that is what a good leader is. I know you do have a support group and you definitely trust them with some things. You are definitely the main guy hustling, just trying to bring up RCSPN. And that leaves me with the next question. Where did this idea come from to start RCSPN? How did you come up with this great idea, and how did you finally get started on building this idea that you had?
Well, it started during pandemic because it's going to sound bad, but I was bored and I saw one of my friends from high school, Nathan Beagle. Shout out to Beagle. Okay. He hosted the drive on our network. So shout out to him. He's a silent partner to Regan's Corner. A lot of people don't know that, but he is. So shout out to him. Couldn't have done it without him. But I watched his and I was like, honestly, that's something I would like to get into. And that's kind of what happened, because actually I'm still a social work major at Purdue Northwest, but it's still something that I love working with you guys. I love talking to athletes. When I get an athlete, that makes my day, okay? Because I get to hear the different stories of all of the athletes across the country and tape up the different aspects of what makes them tick, what mental and stuff like that. And I feel like going forward, Regan's Corner is going to focus more on the athlete stories than the podcast side of it or the broadcast side of it. We're going to still have our broadcasts and stuff like that, but Regan's Corner is going to be more focused on giving athletes their story.
Great. So a little look into the future of Regan's Corner. I know I've definitely talked to you about this one, but why don't you just like expand on it a little more? What is your overall goal? What are you trying to get from creating this podcast network, this huge, this even now wider network that you've created here?
Yeah. So it's like 34 subscribers. Okay. Right now. It looks small, but really, if you really look closer, it's a huge network. Okay. And I'm just looking forward to expanding it. Some people around here say that we're going after regional sports. No, we're going after Barstool. Okay. And I'm sure people would laugh their, tails off when I say that. Okay. Why go to a small pond when you can have the big fish? Okay. And getting people motivated, getting people kind of into Regan's Corner, that's my main job.
Absolutely. I love that. That's actually what you sold me on when we were first talking, when you hired me. You're like, yeah, trying to make the next Barstool. So great to hear from that. One of the final questions I got for you is who is your leadership role model, if you have one? And specifically why? It could be a coach, it could be anyone, it could be someone in your life, but specifically why?
It has to be my late grandfather, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be right now. With him, with my grandma, with everything, because they raised me. My mom did an amazing job as well. I think my grandfather, the way he kind of let me into stuff and the kind of leadership style that he had for most of his life with me, kind of led me into being the kind of guy I am now, where I'm loyal, and there's not many people still that are as loyal as I am. And I take it offense when I don't get the same loyalty, honestly. And yeah, that's your question.
Absolutely. I got another thing for you. I don't think you give enough credit to actually how big Regan's Corner is. You have 34 subscribers now, but we had nearly almost 100, 200 before we switched from YouTube channels. And the views, we see some 200, 300 type views on podcasts and videos that you guys post. Also with a silent partnership with Enterprise Sports, which also has a bigger audience. But specifically, you've done a lot to already get to where you are. What type of leadership traits would you say it takes to kind of build this thing that you've created? It could be any type of trait you think that you have.
Charismatic. I mean, yeah, like I could be doing better on the sponsorships and everything like that. Okay, because I'm selling you guys on stuff. Okay, I'm competing with Fox to get one of the best broadcasters, the best high interns that are still in college. Okay, so what my goals are is it's cool. Okay, take you for example. If you want to stay, cool, and do podcasts and stuff like that. But I'm here to prepare you for Fox or ESPN or all that other stuff because I know I'm not big enough yet. Okay. And that's kind of the goal for the internships and stuff like that. Because I want to keep you. I want to keep all of my interns. But on podcasts and stuff like that and grow and stuff. But I also want to have you guys grow as broadcasters and have this and have multiple areas. And I feel like there's a lot of people around that just don't get it yet. But when they do, and when we blow up, because it's not a matter of now, it's a matter of when. Okay. They'll get it. And then they're going to slap their heads and say, why did we just not have that? Because the mission statement is to give every athlete that we could possibly give and put their stories out there and then advocate for them for NIL deals. And that's the bottom line.
Absolutely. So although this is a shorter interview, we're at 12 minutes. I think it's better that we have these concise, specific answers to actually tell the information instead of blabbing on and on. Is there anything you would like to discuss about your leadership before we end this interview? Anything else you'd like to say?
I just think that I could do probably a better job at even leading you guys. And if, like Kobe always says, if you're not thinking that you can do a better job, okay, then why are you in it? Okay, why are you in the thing that you're doing? Because if you don't think you can do a better job at it, it's not saying, oh, that's my weakness and this and that. I know I can get better broadcasting. I know I can get better podcasting. Okay, I know I can get better graphic design. And I know I can be better at teaching you guys. The employees that I have, employees that this and that. It's just not a one-man band. And I think my leadership style is so important because I'm so humble in what I've created that it's almost to my damage, to be honest with you, in some stints of the population.
Absolutely, Josh. Do not sell yourself short. You've done a lot for this network. It is still growing, and with time and all your hustle that you've put in, this network will eventually bloom as you know it can, and will continue bringing enjoyment to the fans already of Regan's Corner Sports Podcast Network. Josh, thank you for joining us today. It was great hearing a little bit more about your story, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for coming on to my own network. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. And we appreciate you coming back in mid-April for the broadcast. And then May full time after your classes are done. And this should be a good last dance for satellite fans here on Regan's Corner Sports Podcast Network.
Absolutely. Thank you again, John.